And this would be what I've been working on all day. Victrola VV-XI, 1917. This machine is early 1917. I believe I mentioned that in a previous video. And because of that, it does not have the improved motor. That's the motor with the two springs inside of one barrel. This has the two individual barrels, the older style. And a few other little differences between them. Now, the 11 was the most popular machine in the history of the Victor company. They made like 700,000 of them. It was in more households than any other phonograph, period. And sometimes with the off-brands, probably more of these in households than all of them put together. But very, very good machine. If you had to kind of compare it to something, I guess it's the Victrola 9 tabletop with a lower cabinet. Same motor, same 17-foot springs, same this one because it's 17. This has the exhibition reproducer. A few more months after, it might have gotten the number 2. Who knows? And it was never upgraded. And it's in original condition. That's the original finish. I have been very, very slowly removing thousands of little tiny paint splatters all day and cotton cleansing the mahogany finish. These were available in mahogany and oak in various shades, but this is the most popular red mahogany. This is what everybody liked in the teens and the early 20s. Have a look, and none of the veneer on this machine has any issues. That's a big thing, because these cabinet models did use veneer panels. This is veneer, this is veneer, the fronts of the doors, this part here, this is all solid wood. But everything on the sides, it's all veneer, but you can see, right straight down to the bottom, that veneer is in very, very good shape. And on the back, I might have showed this in one of the last videos, but I'll show it again. There's the sticker. Not a sticker. There's the decal. You can see it's August 1st, 1916. So it's a few months before the machine was actually made. Well, 6 months probably. Which was in the first months of 1917. And by the way, if you didn't know, this panel removes. There's 2 screws at the top here. Take them out. This panel removes. You can access your horn that way. If for some reason you ever needed to take it out, which is unfortunately only done when people turn these into liquor cabinets and other nonsense like that. But the whole top is nice. There's no big gouges in it anywhere. Very nice shape. The motor's been serviced. The reproducer's been serviced. And like I said, I've just been cleaning with cotton cleanser and a little piece of plastic and my fingernails to scrape. Lots and lots. Why do people do this and not put a drop cloth over the machine? How long would that take? How much difficulty is that? A simple drop cloth, an old bed sheet. Instead, leave it out in the open while you're painting the room and get little tiny paint splatters all over it. I hate that. But anyway, this is number 363451G. That G prefix would disappear when the improved motors were put into these. But like the 1916s, this has the G prefix. Came with some interesting extras I might have pointed out before, but I'll go over them again. New needles, always nice. This was full of spent needles, or maybe they were new at one time. This is the exhibition reproducers storage box. You almost never see these with machines. You do find them on eBay for, like, in this condition, easily $45–50. There's no tears on the corners. It looks brand new. That was a nice little extra to find in there. As were the tungstone needles. Victor was heavily pushing tungstone needles in the 20s. Essentially, you can get get like 100 plays on one of these. It's not steel, it's tungstone, it's a different material altogether. And who knows, I guess the jury's kind of still out on that one. If they did any significant record damage or not at all, they were better than steel, who knows. But I guess if you didn't like changing needles, this was an alternative. This is actually full. And in really good shape, too. I'll show you what they are. Let me put this down for a second so I can pop this open. So this is kind of a two-handed thing. It's a little pill box here. And that's what tungstone needles look like. Can you see them? Let me get in better light. Probably should pull one out. That might help. There we go. Yep, that's tungstone needle. Little needle nub on it. You can barely see it, but it's there. And you can look those up online. There's a whole blurb about them. These little tins show up on eBay too, and they're also collectible. So it's nice Oh, why didn't that close? There you go. Nice to find stuff like that. And another little needle packet there. Little stuff like that sometimes ends up in these machines, and it gets passed along. This one came from a consignment shop, and they just didn't take anything out of it. Because it is early 17, it has the round dial speed control, which I have set to 78. To read properly, 78 I should say. They almost never do when you get them. This would change to the needle pointer and the glassine window style in a couple months after this machine was made in later 1917. And it has the auto stop. And they're a pain to use sometimes, but yeah, it was what it was for its time. The needle container is still in it, which was nice. Sometimes they disappear. And you had your horn opening there. This machine, by the way, never lost its slats like the little Victrola IV did in later 1917. As they tried to preserve, I still got to put a screw in that, it's a little too long. As they tried to preserve wood for the war effort or some nonsense like that. Record storage. No, those records did not come with the machine. It didn't come with any records at all. Those are ones that were floating around my desk, and I stored them in there just to keep them out of harm's way. Well, it looks pretty good so far. No surprises, and the motor had a broken governor. And I did replace all the springs on the governor and rebuilt that. The mainsprings were good. And I've been playing it, and the mainsprings actually will play both sides of a good condition 11-inch record, which this is not. I don't know what condition this is. I haven't played this particular one yet, but you see stuff like this. Not a good indication, and that's also a reason why we don't wash Columbia records. If you can tell, I don't know if you can really see it in there, but that is a sandwich of paper and shellac, and if water gets in there or anywhere else on the record, it's done, it's finished. So don't put water on Columbias, any Columbias. And well, I was going to play this one. I'm not going to really get into playing too much record. I still have work to do on the cabinet. A little more cleaning yet. There's still some spots of little paint splatters that I have yet to get. I know it's hard to see on the camera, but they're there. There you go. You can see some right back there. They're there. And then I will put some wood feeder on it, and then I will, once that's absorbed, I will polish it up. Wood feeder is only, really isn't that necessary on these models. Because of the veneer, it's only going to absorb so much. And mahogany is a pretty dense wood. Wood feeder is something I would more likely use on oak than I would on mahogany. You know, because the density of this wood, it doesn't really absorb too much. And if it does absorb, then it's really dry. You know right away, this isn't really dry. This appears to have been well cared for. It wasn't abused too much. You do see some alligatoring on the finish. That's normal for a machine of this age. Remember, this is a shellac finish. This is not poly or something like that. That is a shellac finish. So you will have alligatoring. That is a normal part of the aging process. It is caused by temperature changes over the years, drying out the shellac and shrinking a little bit, expanding a little bit, and you get that effect with a little this. If you're a little confused about alligatoring, it starts to look like that. Let me see if I can get a kind of see the effect there. Alligator skin. Yeah, but that's normal. You see that, you know nobody's been messing with it. You know, that's a good indication it's been left alone. Let's see, we have, what do we have? That Naughty Waltz. That Naughty Waltz, who's that? Played by Columbia Orchestra, okay. Columbia had an orchestra, same as Victor did. Already changed the needle. Now I gotta miss that little clump there. So obviously we're not gonna be starting the record on the first groove. Ah! Wow, it actually worked. The auto stopped at the right second, too. On the last note, that thing tripped. That was pure chance, by the way, not skill. I just said it where it kind of looked right. All right. That time it worked. Previously, it was about 50-50. And like I said, this is a work in progress. Still got more things to do. I just did the whole tone arm. You know, I cleaned the bearings and oiled them all up nice. And the elbow, adjusted the staff here for the auto brake. Tightened up all the screws. They were a wee bit loose. Boy, a lot of dust on that record. I need something to push that reproducer a little bit. So what I'm going to do is see if I can find something a little newer. Let's see what we got hanging around in here. Something from a later era, maybe. I know it had some Columbia Red label somewhere, or maybe I don't know what this is. Not really sure what this is. Sonora. I'm living from Kiss to Kiss. The Enrique Madrigal, I can't even pronounce that. Chicago, Illinois, United States, Sonora Radio and Television Corporation. That sounds like something a little newer. It also looks a little bit worn, which could mean it doesn't have much life left in it, so I'm not really going to hurt it much playing it on this. I just want to push that reproducer a little bit because it is a fresh rebuild and I am testing it. There we go. Let's get a needle on there. What kind of surprised me is on this rebuild I noticed some things about this reproducer. For one, nobody ever bent the tone arm before. I'm not the tone arm, I'm sorry. Nobody ever bent the needle bar before. Usually you'll find that they've been bent and twisted to fit properly. This one had not been. And here on the thumb screw, it still feels tight. You know, usually they're a little bit loose and wobbly because they've been literally on and off on needles thousands and thousands of times. This one actually felt a little bit like it was almost like new condition. So maybe this machine just wasn't played much. I don't know. Impossible to really tell. Or somebody replaced the reproducer at some point and it hadn't been played much since then. That's more likely the explanation. All right, let's see what this record is. I really don't know what it is, but we'll find out. I'm living from Kiss to Kiss. All right. Probably some kind of 40s crap, but we'll see. There we go. Oh, I did not set the auto stop. See, that would have stopped it. Let's see. I'll put it right there. Think that'll do it? Maybe. Okay. It might do it, it might not.
Kiss to kiss, and this is thrilling. You're giving me bliss I'd miss, and I'm so willing. Seems an age between each embrace, hold me tighter, I'm out of place. I'm living from kiss to kiss, and life is heaven.
Devuélveme el corazón, yo te lo ruego. Que quiero volver a ser pasión y fuego. Yo no quiero verte llamar, pues yo no te puedo olvidar. Devuélveme
that you care, and so that is why I wear this halo round my heart. An angel is there.
There's loneliness in my heart when you're away. It's loneliness when you're part of every day. Don't you hear my heart when it beats at the merest brush of your lips? I'm living from kiss to kiss. And life is
Almost made it. Oh well. But it played. That's what I wanted to do. I'm not too concerned about the record. I just want to know how the reproducer's doing, and it sounds like it's doing well. Okay. And that's all I'm going to play, unless you want to hear side B. What is side? I don't know. Whatever the other side is on this. Chewy Chewy Rumba. There you go. Apparently this belonged to Joan. That looks like Joan. Well. All right, we'll spin one more. This time I'll see if I adjust that auto stop a little bit more. That's good enough. These are, by the way, the springs that I repacked in the cans for that last video, well, a little while ago's video about packing spring barrels. They are original Victors. They were in excellent condition. Had plenty of springiness left to them, as is evidenced by this. If it could play two sides, both sides of an 11-inch record, it's pretty good, which it does. It's done that multiple times. Wouldn't push it past that, but it'll do that. All right, let's see what this one is. I did tighten that, didn't I? Did I change the needle? I think I did. I don't remember if I changed the needle or not. That's not good. So, when in doubt, change it out. Don't worry about it. Needles are cheap. I don't feel like spinning back the film to see if I did it or not. Okay.
Canta, pajarito, que tu cantar me alegra el corazón. Canta, canta, pajarito, que tu cantar me alegra el corazón. Con tu cantar se alegran las palomas, con tu cantar se alegra el corazón. Con tu cantar se alegran las palomas, con tu cantar se alegra el corazón. Canta, canta, pajarito, que tu cantar me alegra el corazón. Canta, canta, pajarito, que tu cantar me alegra el corazón. Con tu cantar se alegran las palomas, con tu cantar se alegra el corazón. Con tu cantar se alegran las palomas, con tu cantar se alegra el corazón.
Ha! Got it that time. There we go. Yeah, the motor sounds pretty good. Now, there's one word about Victrola motors. They have one brass gear. That's the gear that goes on the main spindle shaft here and on the governor. Everything else is steel. When you hear noise in a Victrola motor, that's generally what it is. It's generally that gear. These are very old motors. This one's over a century old. You're going to hear, so this one's actually pretty quiet. Some are a little bit louder, some a little bit softer, but this one's pretty quiet, as it is. You're going to hear a little noise there from the wear on it. It is brass. It does wear quicker than the steel does. You know, and things can happen to it. I've had 2 different people with problems with that gear causing noise in the motor lately. And we're going to have to sort that out. But sometimes you can get in there with a tiny file and maybe neaten it up a little bit to help it slightly if it's been bent or damaged. Or, you know, somebody's been playing with the motor and they screwed something up. But for the most part, it's best just leave it alone. These motors all have their own voice, basically, their own sound. And that's part of the fun. Listening to that motor go click. Let's hear this one going round and around. Says I got to wind it down anyway. I'll get it close so you can hear it. That is the sound of a Victrola motor. At average. On average, this is a normal sound for them. And what you're hearing is that brass gear, because that is the fastest moving gear on the machine, on the motor. And sometimes you can improve a little by swapping them around. Victor has 2 different styles of motors, the improved motor and the earlier ones. They each have their own brass gear. They do not interchange because one has straight cut teeth. The other, they're cut at an angle like this, because they change the angle that the governor sits on. The older motors, like this one, the governor kind of sits at an angle like that inside the motor frame. In the improved motors, it's straight and like this. So they did change that gear to accommodate the new, you know, location of the governor. So if you're going to be changing gears, that particular gear, make sure you take it from the appropriate motor. If you're working with an improved motor, take it from, and it doesn't seem to matter which improved motor it is. 1 spring, 2 spring, 3 spring, 4 spring, they all seem to have the same brass gear. So, and ditto for the earlier ones. Of course, they do change when you get back into the horn machines and stuff, in the aughts and things like that. That's a different gear. It's a whole different motor. So we'll just go with, say, motors after 1915 or so, 1915 to 1917, early 17, then late 1917, up to the end of the Victor company. But it sounds good. Well, there you go. It's just kind of a quick look at the progress to date. I got one felt here, and one looks like it's missing here, but in reality, it's not. You know where it is? I don't know why it's there, but there it is. It seems to be glued there too. Kind of weird. Might have been that way from the factory. You never know. But that's the Victor Victrola the 11th in red mahogany. It will be back. I have more records to test, and I will be cleaning up on this even more. You can see over here, the result of today's work is that all that brown nasty filth, that was all on this cabinet. And there is yet more to deal with. That's just what happens after you let something sit around for a century. Don't matter if you're taking care of it or not. It's going to build up on there. Old wax, fingerprint oils, who knows what else. It builds up on the surface. Oh yes, and let's not forget accumulations from cigarette smoke. That definitely will, over a long period of time, will get into a finish. So there you go. There's a quick look at it. Or not so quick.